Hello to everybody. My name is Carlos, and thank you so much for invitation, Solinia, for the RDA community. It's a great opportunity for all of us as researchers and also as a trainer to kind of explore together what we can say, what could be the potential role of generative AI specifically in the role of the research software engineering. So together with my colleague Halfo, I'm going to present, I'm going to try to do is to kind of give you an overview of the opportunities and challenges that we see and some future direction based on a experience that we had that we conduct a workshop, as well as my own experience using these generative models as researcher or developer. So before I start with the presentation, I'm gonna start saying that we both are working in the TrueDelft library, and together with the research, so the engineers that are part of the Digital Competence Center, we're trying to help the university to shape what could be the idea of the vision of the AI through different activities. One of them is the teaching core RC skills and activities, as we see in some courses and researchers and workshops for researchers. Also, we're trying to develop intermediate and advanced RC training materials in the modular mode. And we are now defining how the generative AI can integrate into best practices for research software engineering. And in the right side of the slide, you can see some logos that might be familiar to you, as they are also part of the big idea of this research software practices and the material about so what are the practices for that. So a little bit of terminology here. What we are trying to define the research software and the sustainability and the generative AI. So what we define as research software is, for example, any software that has been created or an artifact that has been created during the process of research or for research purpose. We are also adding some kind of new attribute, which is part of the European report, that this kind of software artifact has to link into a specific article. So this is what exactly we are trying to define. And we also include the CAT viewpoint of the RC sustainability as the process of developing and maintaining software that meets any needs over time. So thinking about how the research software can be maintaining, can be reproducible over time, and which kind of steps or activities the researcher has to integrate through their workshop of the workflow in the practice for the research lifecycle. And the question is whether or not the generative AI tools can support or not the sustainability of those research software. And one of the big ideas that I can see, and also it's kind of invitation for all of us, is to see a kind of a generative AI tool automatically support a different task or different attributes through the research software. So we can ask the generative AI tool to help us to facilitate the understanding of my research software. That can be an analysis, can be a computational workflow, can be any related script. And I can ask also this generative AI to repair or to fix some kind of documentation automatically. I can also ask to maintain in a modular coding and so on and so forth. So this is the idea that the generative AI can aid the researcher through the research software lifecycle. And for that, we conduct in June in 2024 a workshop on exploring together with TrueDelft researchers on the idea of using or integrating generative AI tools, any kind of AI tools in their own research software development workflow. So the main goal of this workshop was to explore, to write some kind of awareness of the generative AI and what are the positive and negative part of those tools, explore altogether what is the impact, not just beyond, not just about the productivity, but beyond other aspects that might be interesting for the research software development, and capture some kind of best practices across different domains. So these workshops allow us to give an idea of what researchers within the TUDELF in a very tiny audience, because we were like 15 participants. We could potentially integrate generative AI in our research software workflow. So that was a great one of the major activities and insight that we got, because we had some interactive discussion through Mentimeter, also a hands-on session of using GitHub Copilot. One of the bigger, let's say, experience that we also saw using generative AI is that we can actually build research software faster using those tools, but in it is very hard to integrate this into our research workflow. For the total of 15 participants, like more or less more than half, they actually use AI tools or generative AI tools. And mostly they were using either GitHub Copilot if they were likely to be verified by the GitHub, and also many other GitHub. And within the part of the development of RC workflow, mostly all of them, they put adding value in the writing code and debugging, and also documenting documenting code automatically. So those are the benefits for mostly all the participants. Okay, so we actually can see now the rise of these generative AI tools within the RC, but also in the training and education point of view. What I think, and what we think as a community, based on our experience in the workshop, is that only efficiency or productivity is not entirely covering all the needs for researchers. So we actually need a kind of active discussion of what are the needs that we can include further to productivity. For example, like how can we create evaluation methods for efficient adoption. And then there is a new happens with active discussion, and you can see the report here in this link, where indeed they kind of got the same insights as we did in our workshop. Like learners actually need a totally different or a quite new working method model to either create queries or prompts and also interpret those answers. Also, learners, they are actually making benefits of already of those tools, but they don't know how to implement in their workflow. And there is also crying need to really understand whether or no these tools are totally free, or what is the free and private version or paying version of the generative AI tool. Now based on my way to go to the idea of using generative AI, I can speak about being myself as a user and also as a developer or as a researcher. So here I put like four different major attributes of tools, like that are part of my technical stack. In the first one, I can see that the Copilot it highly benefits for myself as I've been integrating in my Visual Studio Code, which is my IDE that I actually work every day using the GitHub Copilot for example, like fixing some dependency resolver, and also like asking some general questions. So the positive factor of using the GitHub Copilot is it's integrated through my Visual Studio Code, but it's indeed very hard to verify the answer of my prompt. So even if I ask some kind of high level or complex task for the model, it cannot guarantee the usefulness of, for example, modularity. The second tool that I use every day also is ChatGPT for mostly sanity check, some kind of misspelling my documentation, or so kind of a very high level use. The third one is more into the research that I am actually doing in terms of using some open AI tools or agents models, as using Grok or QAI, or also Lightchain. And the positive thing is that I can access them locally if I am lucky enough that the implementation stuff works. But in it, you're not entirely sure if it's entirely open and free access, or actually there is some kind of new like a payment modularity to avoid these token limits. One of the use cases that I see here for using generative AI, or at least myself, is to try to address some dependency health. So, for example, when I am running out of updating some libraries that depend on different libraries, for example, when I am populating some websites, instead of searching through the index page, so through my issue specifically, I can directly use the conversational feature of the GitHub Copilot, and mostly are okay in terms of the steps that they suggest me to, or it suggests me, but sometimes it doesn't work. So this is the one of the issues of using this generative AI. Another issue that I encountered recently was to kind of this running implementation issues. So I'm trying to reuse some kind of ancient models to generate some kind of LLMs using. I spent like a lot of time using the. Sorry?
Carlos, you have a minute. Sorry.
Okay. So I spent a lot of time like trying to install and set up the LLM, but I couldn't at the end done mostly. So I passed like a issue, and they suggest me a nearly in pay solution actually a month ago, trying to install the DeepSeek model. So those are the technical, the discussion, like the challenges that we have. So for one side, we have this technical limitation, which is actually like, how can we validate the responses, and the lack of maturity of the tools. We have also the training education gaps challenges, which is trying to include some kind of knowledge domain specific best practices. Then we have the research barriers in terms of trying to find funding from the tools and the infrastructure, and other risks that might be more into the high level and political point of view. The very two slides and I finish. Then towards the responsible adoption of generative AI. In it, there is so many experimental tools that we can use, but the idea of generate when agent that assist researchers through the research life cycle, this is one of the big impact. The opportunity that I see is the kind of make a alignment of within the RSC community, and from three point of view. So for the first point of view is trying to validating this responses from the generative AI. The second one is to examine the tools and services and cataloging and mapping the best practices. And the third one is trying to map the educational approaches to cover new skills and best practices. Just to finalize, to say two key ways is in order to implement this generative AI, I see the benefits of using a beyond productivity approach. So we can use the research needs for consistency, reliability, and reproducibility. And we have an opportunity to establish some RSC community network to practice to address how we can responsibly and respectfully adopt generative AI for research software sustainability. For that, I've finished my presentation. I want to say thank you to Halford Days and the rest of the Delft team, and also Daniel Guerrero from Help New Lab. Yeah, thank you so much.